The other day, I was cooking up a batch of sorghum seed, and I made a surprising discovery. Over the course of these last few months, I have devoted a lot of attention to sorghum's culinary uses. I've been experimenting with various ways to use its seeds in different ways as a source of food. One of my latest experiments involving making vinegar from sorghum led to a compelling new find for me. Let me explain. So while I will leave the in-depth details of the process I went through in order to make this vinegar for another video, I would like to give a brief summary of what I did to provide a bit of context. So first, what I did here was I took the sorghum seed and I put it in a bowl of water to soak overnight. After letting it soak, in the morning I would dump the water off, rinse off the seed, let it drain, and then in the evening I would fill it back up with water to let it soak again overnight. I continued this process for about 3 to 5 days, and the sorghum seeds began to sprout. Then, once they had sprouted, as you can see here, I mashed them up with a piece of wood in a bowl. Now it took about 20 or 30 minutes until I was happy with the consistency, to the point that it was fine enough where I could then dry it. I then dried the sorghum mash in an oven, with the oven door ajar so that moisture could escape. I turned the oven on and off intermittently at its lowest possible heat. I didn't want to actually cook the grain, I just wanted to dry it out. Then, once it had dried out, I put it into a container and mashed up this meal into a powder using a piece of wood. Now the goal was not to grind it up into a super fine powder, I just wanted to break it down a little bit more finely, some of the larger chunks. It took me about 20 to 30 minutes to get it to a consistency where it seemed to be good. I then took this ground up sorghum and I put it in a pot and added in some water, and I cooked it up. I wanted to initially bring this to a boil and then let it cook for about 15 minutes. The goal here was to mostly saturate the sorghum so it would then be prepared for the next step in the vinegar making process. However, this is where I made my new discovery. I noticed that the sorghum was beginning to absorb the water and stick together, almost like it was beginning to gel, kind of like you were cooking oatmeal. And in fact, when I scooped it into a bowl, it had a very thick, porridge-like consistency. And I thought to myself, wow, this might be able to become a good and wholesome and healthy breakfast option. Now, I do not claim to have discovered this for the world. This was really mainly a discovery for myself that I decided I would like to share with you. So this sorghum was produced and processed directly off of this landscape. And it doesn't taste that bad. In fact, it's actually quite good. Now, I would say that the taste and texture is somewhere between cooked oatmeal and corn grits. So at this point, it seems that growing sorghum for a backyard gardener may in fact be a practical and efficient option for small grain production. It's able to withstand some drought and dry conditions, poor soil, and it can still grow tall, producing abundant seed heads, and maybe you can work it in with companion planting in your garden. So anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and maybe someday you will be able to make your own sorghum cereal. I hope you are doing well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.